Hello, Facebook and YouTube and Pod Squad. Happy Monday to all of you. Make sure you guys, as you're hopping on, make sure you throw me some hearts and let me know that you can hear me. Comment below and let me know where you are streaming in from on this lovely Monday evening. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't have a banner. Hold on. Hello, beautiful. How are you doing? Let me put my banner together. Fix it, Jesus. I've been there. I pray that you're having an amazing or had an amazing day, Melinda. There we go. I've been there. All right. Yes. Make sure you share this. Make sure you throw me some hearts and let me know that you guys can hear me. Let me know where you guys are streaming in from. Gainesville, Georgia. I don't know. I didn't know Georgia had a Gainesville. Okay. I would have thought Gainesville, Florida, but Georgia in the house. Y'all. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you could just even hear it in my voice, if you can see it in my body posture, my body language, if you can see it in my spirit. God is so good. Oh my goodness, y'all. So the title of my message, I was going to wait to share this, but God was like, I need to go ahead and release this. And it is something that I'm working on to go into its full depth or totality later. So be prepared for that. I feel another project, another God assignment in the very, very near future. Hello, New Orleans. Another assignment in the very near future. So I'll leave it at that. But y'all, God is so good. Y'all know I have been on here with you guys, probably since April, May, like regularly, especially when I first finished writing my book. You guys know when I was writing it, a lot of you guys didn't know I was writing it because, you know, when God drops something in your spirit or shares something, some things are just for you and God before he says, release them to the world. And the book was one of them. But I say all of that to say, with everything that I have gone through, with everything that I have endured, with everything that I've had to feel like I was in the darkness, to be uncertain about, with everything that I have suffered. Can we type suffering in all caps? Like 2020 for me personally has been a year of suffering. It really has. It's been a year of hardship. It's been a year of uncertainty. It's been a year of, you name it, it's been that for me. Hello, California in the building. Hey, David. 2020 has been a year. I can honestly say, I feel, oh my goodness, I can honestly say, y'all, I named this, or I titled this, I've been there, because God said some of you are uncertain right now. Some of you are suffering right now. Some of you, oh Jesus, I'm not doing this. Some of you are hurting right now. Some of you are going through right now. Some of you are confused right now. Some of you are lost. Some of you are battered. Some of you are ashamed. Some of you are so numb you don't even know how to put it into words. You just feel that blah with the beating that you've taken in 2020. Y'all, I came on here to share. I'm finally seeing in the natural what God has promised me. You know how you hear, oh, what he's promised, it is going to come to pass. Keep hanging on to his promise. Keep hanging on to his word. Keep serving. Keep praying. Keep going through. Keep sharing his good news. Keep being a light to someone else. Keep being encouragement to someone else. You keep hearing, keep doing this, keep doing this, keep doing this. But what about when you feel like you just can keep no longer? That you've done all the keeping that you can do and you begin to lose hope over everything that those have told you to keep. God is true to his word. God is so true to his word. Y'all, I'm finally, and not even in the spirit, because there are certain things that you begin to sense in the spirit, but it hasn't manifested in the natural yet. But I am finally at that part for the things that God promised me and spoke over my life that is beginning to happen. And it's happening suddenly. I can't even put my finger on how he's doing it. So everything that God has been doing in the dark, I'm finally seeing in the light. I'm finally seeing in the natural. The things that God promised, I'm finally seeing manifest. Because I'm not going to lie, I had a conversation with God and I'm just like, God, I know your word. I know the things that you promised me. I know there are things that I have to go through. I know you said I have to suffer with you before I reign with you. I know all of this. I know I'm supposed to be a witness to bear good news and to testify on your behalf. But what I don't know is, does that promise really come to pass? What I don't know is, will I actually manifest and will you bring in fruition the thing that you promised me? I don't know that. I know I'm still supposed to be encouraged. I know I'm supposed to step out of my darkness and be light to someone else. I know I'm supposed to step out of my prison and set someone else free. I know I'm supposed to step out of my drought and be rain for someone else. I know all of this. I've done that. I know I'm supposed to keep praising you. I know I'm supposed to keep praying. I know I'm supposed to keep serving, keep fasting, keep sowing, keep doing all of that. But what I don't know, the part of this that I have no conclusion for, is will you actually give me the things that you've spoken over my life? Will that come to pass? How much longer? Like something just felt different. I felt the shift. That time has finally come. And basically, I just want to encourage someone. Somebody is going through. Somebody feels as if you don't know if it will ever happen for you. You don't know if God has changed his mind. You don't even know if God is still in what you're currently going through. You don't see a way out. You don't have any answers. You're so uncertain. You're so numb to what all is going on. At this point, you just don't know. I've been there. You believe it, but you can't touch it. You've heard it, but you can't see it. You know it's possible, but you're starting to lose hope. I've been there. And yes, God sends reminders. Yes, God sends people into your life to speak words of encouragement like I'm doing now. I've been there. I've seen it all. You know you're supposed to, just remain anchored down and steadfast to whatever it is that God is doing and stand firm on his word. But what you don't know is, how does it manifest? Will it ever manifest for you? Will you ever be able to touch the thing that God promised you? Will you be able to see the things in the natural that God showed you in the spirit? The answer is yes. I've been there. That time has come. Y'all, God is so faithful. And even though I thought I prayed and begged God to give this to me earlier, I've been begging him to give this to me ever since he spoke it. It did not happen. He was not concerned about delivering something before it was too soon, birthing something before it was ready, manifesting something before I was prepared. Because you guys, we have to understand, we have to get to a level of maturity and understanding to know God is not going to release something that you're not properly prepared to handle. Because then you won't be able to sustain and keep the very thing that he promised you. Y'all, when I tell you, I felt months ago, earlier this year, so many times that all my T's were crossed and all my I's were dotted. And I'm like, God, I'm doing everything. Why isn't this being released? Why can't I have it? And there were certain times that God would answer me, but there were more times that God didn't answer me. He just kept saying, trust me. I am trusting you, but how much more suffering can I go through? How much more uncertainty can I go through? How much more are you allowing me to endure? I know you say, you give your biggest battles to your strongest soldiers, but how much longer do I have to go through this? I've been there before, crying myself to sleep, not knowing if God was still in it, not knowing if God was still hearing me, not even knowing if God was listening. Sometimes I didn't even know if God cared. Like, that's how hard it got with the things that he allowed me to go through. But what I did not do was give up. Y'all, I've had all odds against me. I've had every odd against me. I've had what seemed as if the walls were closing in on me. And even through the pain, through the suffering, through the tears, through the frustration, through being disappointed with God. How many of you can say have you ever, and I don't say this to brag, but I'm being transparent. Have you ever been disappointed with God? Be honest. Through all of that, through the times that I just knew I had done everything possible that God has asked me to do. And I'm not talking about doing the things that he asked me to do that felt good. It's easy for us to be obedient when we want to be obedient, when it feels good to be obedient. But I'm talking about doing the things that I didn't want to do, going to places I didn't want to go, saying the things I didn't want to say, walking away from the things I didn't want to leave, putting death to the things that I did not want to lose, that I was not okay with releasing and letting go. In spite of all of that, I can honestly say I've never given up. When all odds were against me, I didn't give up. When the enemy's voice sounded as if he was right about everything that I saw and everything that I was going through, I still didn't give up. When I was frustrated with God, I did not give up. When I did not understand God, I did not give up. When I was thinking that God was no longer in it, I didn't give up. When I was tired and didn't have an ounce of strength in me, I didn't give up. When I saw others with the things that I knew God also promised me, I didn't give up. When the enemy taunted me and tortured me and tried to traumatize me, I did not give up. In spite of all of that, there has not been one time, even the times I was disappointed with God, even the times I was frustrated with God, even the times I was angry with God, there has not been one time that I didn't give up coming to him in prayer faithfully every day, because I don't have a quitter's mentality. Now, did I want to quit? Absolutely. Did I have every reason to quit? Yeah. Did it look like nothing was working in my favor? Sure. But I don't know how to quit. I don't know how. I figured I was too invested in what God promised me to turn back. Like the children of Israel, when he set them free from Egypt, like even though they went through the wilderness, they were too far ahead to go back. He took them the longer route. They were too far ahead to turn back, but still not seeing and not touching and not walking into the thing that God had promised them yet. Every trial that you could think of, I'm pretty sure I've been through it. Every storm that you can encounter, I'm pretty sure I've been through it. And y'all have to understand, I'm not talking about throughout my lifetime. I'm not talking about throughout the last 10 years. I'm not talking about throughout the last 5 years. I'm speaking about 2020. Every hit that you think the enemy threw, he threw that. And I still did not give up. Every blow that could have been thrown my way, I received that and still did not give up. Every tear that was in my body that I have shed and cried out, I still did not give up. If you only knew how much sleep I lost, how many times I was just so frustrated, but I still showed up with a smile. In spite of all of that, I want to encourage you to keep going. Somebody's hurting right now. Keep going. The enemy is sounding really good right now. Let's call it like what it is. He's saying what it's actually looking like, because let's be honest, when God speaks something, when God promises something, everything looks like in the natural, it's the exact opposite of what God spoke, the exact opposite of what you're believing God for. And there are going to be so many times that you want to quit. Some of you listening, you probably already have quit. But I thank God for not being like we are, not being like humans, not being like man, and quitting on us the way we quit on him, and doubting us the way we doubt him, and having fickle feelings towards us the way we have towards him, and questioning him, just the things that we go through. Thank God we don't serve a God that treats us the way we treat him. This has been the hardest, most difficult time, darkest time of my life. But yet in the same breath, I can say it has been the most rewarding, the most abundant, the most fruitful, the most prosperous. Like, it almost sounds like it's contradicting itself, but I want to encourage you to keep going. It's a good feeling to see, like, when you can finally say, now I can see that things are working out in my favor. Now I can see that God was really working behind the scenes. Now I can see that those things he whispered to me, he wasn't just trying to tease me. Now I can see that he's been in it the entire time. Don't give up. And if you've given up, it's not too late to come back to God, to just say, God, I'm sorry, I gave up. I'm turning back towards you. I'm going to remain anchored down. I'm going to stop running. I'm going to stop throwing in the towel. Y'all, there have been times I wanted to quit, but God wouldn't let me quit. There have been times I wanted to, if y'all only knew, I lost count of how many times I just knew in the spirit, like tomorrow when I wake up, tomorrow it's going to be the day. Like all signs say yes. All signs point to go. And I would get up that next morning, nothing changed. Nothing. You talking about frustrated and upset with God? And then it was to the point where, God, if nothing changes, I'm not coming downstairs to our meeting place to pray at a certain time. Like I'm sleeping in. I'm going to be in my feelings. But God, he knew me. Like I didn't even do that. Even though in my mind, I'm saying to myself, well, I'm going to sleep in this morning. I'm not even going to get up and pray to you like I normally do. I'm going to pray, but I'm not going to pray at the same time. Like I want you to know that I'm hurt. I want you to know that I'm angry. Even though I said that, I still couldn't give up on God. The flesh in me wanted to give up. The flesh wanted to throw in the towel. The flesh wanted to say, I don't even want what you promised me anymore. If I got to keep going through all this, you can have it. Pick someone else. I don't want this promise. I don't want this mantle anymore. But it was God know what he placed on the inside of me, because something was driving me every day. Okay, Zenobia, it didn't happen yesterday. Maybe today it's going to be your day. Okay, it didn't happen today. Maybe tomorrow's going to be your day. Like I had to have pep talks with myself, to help me get through what I was experiencing. And then there were times that God would just leave me little love notes and remind me. He would send me godly hugs. And in the midst of all that, I'm still going through my trials. I'm still going through my storms. I'm still getting corrected and disciplined. Like, let's not forget that. God didn't leave that part out. The times I was in my feelings, he knew when to comfort me and when to check me. And I think I got rebuked and checked more than I did comforted. But I can appreciate that because I wasn't considered a baby Christian anymore. God knew what I could handle. If he comforted me, it wouldn't make me tough. He couldn't mature me and advance me to the next level. There were times, y'all know how many times God has rebuked me. God has corrected me. God has disciplined me. God has put his hands on me, and not in a way that felt good. But he loved me too much to let me quit on me, even when I wanted to quit on me. There is another side. Go back and check my lives. I've been on here time after time after time, sharing words of encouragement, saying, this is what I'm believing God for. And I know this is going to happen. I just want to encourage you not to give up. Now I can finally say I am I'm here. I've made it to Canaan. I've made it to my promised land. But y'all, I fought for this. I cried for this. I served for this. I sowed for this. I fasted for this. I was obedient in the dark for this. I was judged for this. I was betrayed for this. I was ridiculed for this. I went through hell for this moment. But I've earned this. I deserve this. I've walked this out. And in all of that, God has been here with me. It didn't feel like it. Makisha, keep going. There are going to be times you feel like God has left you. There are going to be times that you feel like, God, there's no way that you can be in this with what I'm going through. And I know they say there's times and seasons. Y'all, I've questioned God so much. It got to the point where I'm like, do you see what I'm going through? Like, have you forgotten that I'm in my season of suffering right now? There were some times I felt like God forgot. Like he turned away for a second and tended to the rest of the world and to his other children and forgot about me. That's just how the flesh in me was feeling. And in spite of all of that, I never gave up. Yes, I wanted to give up. Yes, I talked about giving up. Yes, I considered giving up, but I never gave up. And what I mean by that is there was not a day that went by that I did not read my Bible. This was my spiritual armor for the day. Every single day I read something from my Bible. Now, when I first started walking with God and getting serious, I would just open my Bible and put my finger on something and talk about it. And it always spoke to me. But then God corrected me on that too. He said, okay, now I need to mature you up. You need to ask me where I want you at in here. So now, faithfully, every morning, I pray before I open my Bible, like, God, show me what I need to say, or show me what I need to see. Show me what you want me to see. Show me what's going to sustain me for today. You already know my trials and my troubles that are going to come today. I haven't seen that yet. So put me in my armor for today. And just by doing that, I would literally, whether I open up to whatever, or whether he dropped a book in my head or a Bible verse or whatever in my head, it always spoke to me for that current moment. I never stopped reading the truth. I never stopped reading his word. I never did not show up, I never did not show up for prayer. Every single day I prayed. Every single day I've read. Y'all, these are things that, not like the days that I felt like it, I prayed, the days I felt like it, I read. How many people can say they read the Bible every day? How many people can say they pray to God more than once a day, every day? How many people can say they fast when needed, and even when they don't feel like fasting, but you know the Holy Spirit has told you to go into a fast? How many people can say they fast when required? How many people can say they fasted, not even on their behalf, but they fasted on the behalf of someone else because you were believing God for what it is that he spoke to you? How many people can say they prayed and fasted and interceded on behalf of those who hurt them? I went through all of this year. Even those who I felt like betrayed me, felt like turned their backs on me, felt like lied on me, I was able to pray for them. I was able to fast for them. And again, y'all, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying where my discipline was at, where my focus was at. There were times I had to take a break and pull away from social media because God started telling me I wasn't protecting and guarding my gates, my eye gates and my ear gates. It's so easy to hold on to the promise of God. And then when you see something on social media, it kind of contradicts what he says. So you start doubting his word. You start doubting his promise. You start thinking it's never going to happen for you. You're going to start thinking that he changed his mind. So there were times I had to pull away from even social media and pull away from the world while we're in a world shutdown to get closer to God, to lean into God, to hear more from God, to make my ears sensitive to his voice. God finally fixed a problem, and I've been praying for 9 years. God delivers. And that's the thing. This is one thing I spoke about on my podcast this morning. Everybody's perception of God is different. Everybody's story is different. Here's the thing that God spoke to me about earlier, and I want to share it with you. Even with me on here, sharing my experience with God, sharing my testimony with God, sharing my breakthrough with God, take that, be inspired by that, hold on to that for hope, but don't put that in a box that if you're going through what I'm going through, it's going to happen for you the exact same way. That's another thing that I had to learn during this process. Just because it happened for someone one way, God didn't want us to get so fixated with that we think he can only deliver for us that same way. God desires to do a new thing. So I had to get to the point where I learned to be genuinely happy for others. Say they're going through whatever with their marriage, because I've been transparent about that, sharing that this year that, God picked my marriage. He called me to have a marriage ministry, that my marriage would be a testament of his grace and his glory. I've been vulnerable and transparent sharing that since earlier this year. We're finally walking into that. But say someone else's marriage was on the rocks and they went through XYZ and God restored it. He resurrected it, like he saved their marriage. God doesn't want us to get so caught up in how he did it for someone else, the way he did it, the timing he did it, that we think it has to be done that way for us because we're going through that same situation, whether that's your marriage, your finances, your job, your children, your family, your addictions, like whatever that may be. Because when we do that, we limit how God can move on our behalf. Just because of how he did it for someone doesn't mean he's going to do it that same way for us. And too often, many of us miss the move of God because we're looking for him one way because he fixed so-and-so's problem that way. So this is how I'm looking for him. You can't have tunnel vision when looking for God, but you need to have tunnel vision when looking to God. Thank you, God. That was good. Thank you, Jesus. Don't have tunnel vision when you're looking for God, because you need to be able to look all around and see God and feel God and experience God. But you do need to have tunnel vision when you look to God. What is that? Psalms 120. I look up to the mountains. Does my help come from there? I look up to the hills. Does my help come from there? My help comes from the Lord. Your tunnel vision needs to be looking toward God. But you need to be able to look for God all around. Because too many of us put God in a box and we miss what he's trying to show us. We miss what he's trying to get through us. We miss what he's trying to get us to experience. Don't miss the move of God. Hey, sissy, don't miss the move of God because you experienced him one way in one season, or your coworker or your sister or your friend experienced him one way. Don't miss what God is doing. God is desiring to do a new thing in your life, in your situation. He's building and raising up a new generation. He's doing all things new. But too many of us have gotten used to culture and religion, and we're only used to seeing God one way. My grandmother told me God was a redeemer, so I only look for that redeeming God. But I never got to experience the healing God, the God that restores, the God that resurrects, the God that saves, the God that delivers. Don't miss what God is doing just because you get so caught up in how he did it for others. Whatever it is you're going through, I've been there. Those thoughts that you're having about giving up, I've been there. Those thoughts that you're having about maybe it's never going to happen for me, I've been there. Keep going. I promise you, whatever he spoke shall come to pass. It will come to pass. We won't understand why he takes the amount of time he does, because God's timing is not our timing. But I can be more appreciative that he made me wait. If I have to be honest, the wait did not feel good. The storms definitely didn't feel good. The trials didn't feel good. The times I felt like he was silent did not feel good. The times where I felt like he made me cycle back around because I didn't get it right the first time, none of that felt good. But now I can appreciate, because I'm in a position that he stretched me wide enough that I can now hold on to all that he had for me. Some of us aren't willing to be stretched. You got to endure that stretch. You got to learn to embrace that stretch. I know the stretch hurts. I know you're crying because of the stretch. I know he's stretching you and he's not stretching others. I know that stretch seems unfair. I know you don't understand why you're being stretched. But allow God to stretch you wide. You have to endure that stretch. You have to endure your circumcision, where he comes in and brings out his knife and just starts slicing and cutting things off. You got to endure all of that. Yes, it does hurt. I'm not going to get on here and tell y'all it doesn't hurt. I'm not going to get on here and tell y'all, oh, it'll be okay. Like, the mess hurts. It was horrible. But I trusted God. I kept believing in God. I knew it was bigger than me. And God got me to a point where I realized the longer he's making me wait, the bigger it is. Y'all, I'm seeing it now. I'm touching it now. I'm holding it now. And it's only going to get better from here. Keep going. There really is a promised land. There really is a Canaan. There really is a time that you will manifest what he promised you. There really is a thing or a time that you will see in the natural what he showed you in the spirit. There really will be a time where you can hear in the natural what he spoke to you in the spirit. I didn't know if that time would ever come. I too wanted to give up. I have been there, but keep going. I'm finally seeing it. I'm finally living it out. I'm finally feeling it. And I'm so, so, so grateful for it. Now I value what God has given to me. Now I want to make sure I'm a proper steward over what he's given to me, over what he's trusted me with. Now, not only am I going to make sure I manage it right and take care of it so I never lose it, now I'm going to show others how to get theirs. Now I'm going to show others how to prepare themselves to steward over that miracle, to steward over that blessing, to endure that stretching, to endure the affliction, to endure the persecution, to endure the process of circumcision. Too many, I see that, 1 minute they're in, the next minute they're out. We got to get past having those double-minded ways and those double-minded thoughts. We got to get past of having those lukewarm feelings. 1 minute you're in, the next minute you're out. I've been there. I had to get through that. And that's why I'm on here and able to share it with all of you. Not only did I have to get through it, like God knew my heart, he had to recalibrate my thinking. He had to recalibrate the way I perceive things. He had to recalibrate how I loved. Could I love when I was still hurting? Could I love when I wasn't getting the love in return? Could I love when I felt like that person wasn't worthy of love? Could I love knowing that person has stabbed me in the back and the front and has talked about me and lied on me? Could I love when others were not around to give them that love, when they couldn't love themselves? He's put me through so much, but now I'm so appreciative for it. I didn't understand it while I was going through it. And you're probably in a situation or position now that you don't understand it. It makes no sense. But God reveals another level of your understanding. The more you walk with him, the more you trust him, the more you follow his commands. He's not just going to tell you the ending results and then walk you through the entire plan. There are some things God is like, I'm not going to reveal more until you do the last thing that I've required for you to do. And then some of us want to get out of that season so fast. God's like, I'm not going to speed this process up because you got to experience and feel what I'm taking you through. You want it to be hurry up and quick and over. I've been there. You want to try and keep yourself busy so you don't want to have to think about what he's taking you through. I've been there. You want to put up a wall and not let others see what it is that you're actually going through. I've been there too. But I say that to say we got to remain anchored down to what God is doing. He wants you to feel what he's taking you through. He wants you to experience what it is he's allowing you to endure. He wants you to realize what season you're in. God, not only do you have me in a season, what are you trying to teach me? What is it that I need to learn and get from this particular season? What are you taking away from me? I got to the point where I got tired of asking, why are you taking it away? Because at one point I feel like God took everything away. I was like, God, do you not want me to have anything? And I can laugh about it now, but I felt like he stripped me of everything. He stripped me of everything that I've always known. I'm like, I don't have a character left. Like, who am I now? But he was stripping me of the things that were not of me. He was stripping me of the things that never looked like me. He was stripping me of the things of my false identity. Some of you are getting your identity right now, this time around, while you're going through. God stripped me of the mask that I wore on social media. He stripped me of the mask that I wore in front of my family. He even stripped me of the mask that I wore around my husband. God stripped me of all of that. He even stripped me of the mask that I wore when I looked at myself in the mirror. I've gone through all of that. He takes away my home. We will have issues. He takes away my home. We will have issues. We won't know why God does what God does, why he does it that way, why he chooses to do it that way. But he does take you back. The Holy Spirit will help you go back to connect the dots. You still may not understand why everything had to transpire, but you will come out with more knowledge. You'll come out with more wisdom. You'll come out with more of a strength that you've never had. You've come out with a new understanding. It makes you better. You know, we don't always understand why it has to happen that way, but I can say it makes you better. It makes you so better. Sometimes you're afraid of the person you see in a mirror, like, oh my gosh, like I'm on fire. I'm amazing, and not boasting, but like, God, this is really who you created me to be. This is really the woman that you've seen me to be. Because we got to think, when God speaks to us, he speaks to the spirit in us, not that fearful us, not that challenge us, not the us that suffers from depression, not the us that has fickle feelings, not the confused us, not the depressed us, not the bitter us, not the unfaithful us. Like, he speaks to the man or the woman, the son and the daughter he created you to be. I don't know, because to be honest, I don't know him yet. God desires for all of us to know him. And sometimes you could be on this live for why he may be knocking on your heart. He may be tugging on your heart. You know, and sometimes we get to the point where it's like, I don't know God yet. Like, I hear about God. I hear about Jesus. God will place the right people in your life to the point where they will say something, or you may be driving and see something on a billboard, Jesus loves you, or somebody's bumper sticker in front of you. Like, he's so sovereign. He always strategically places us in places to reveal his love for us. There will be a point where sometimes you've run as long as you can run, and God will get you to the point where his love chases you down. His abundance chases you down. His grace chases you down. And he also will get us to the point where He may strip some things away from us and allow us to go through some things so we can start leaning in on him. He strips us away to where the things that we were used to, the things that were comfortable for us, the things that where we found our sense and security, he strips us of those things. And we're just like, okay, I feel like I'm to the point where I have to rely on him. I'm curious at this point to know, like, God, I've tried everything. I don't know who you are, but I'm willing to test you out. I'm willing to throw myself at you. Pretty sure that's why he brought me back to you, babe. God, he makes no mistakes. So if you feel like you don't know him yet, and Makisha, I love that you said yet, meaning that there's hope for you to get to know him. You could have just left it at, I don't know him. He's already nudging you. He's already knocking on your heart. His grace is already chasing you down, because the yet says there's hope. The yet says there's more. The yet says there's something to become. So I can only hope that you run to God, because his arms are wide open for you, that he desires to show you his unfailing love and his grace and his mercy and his abundance and his goodness. We don't always have to understand it. I've always known God, Makisha, but I've never had a for real relationship with God like I do now, like I did in 2020 when he called me. I've always known him. Like, I've always been to church, paid my tithes. You know, I understood God, but I wasn't in relationship with God. That didn't start to this year. So the same way he waited on me for 40 years and his arms were still wide open, even 40 years later, he embraced me and welcomed me with open arms. He allowed me to go through some things, but he allowed me to see and become who he always created me to be. I have no regrets about it. The experience didn't feel too good, but I'm so much better. I'm so much happier. I have peace. I have joy. I don't rely on anybody else, any man, any woman, anything to give me what only I know that my God can give me. And he desires to give that to you as well, Makisha. He has plans for you. He has blessings for you. He has miracles for you. God has no favorites. So the same way, again, that he has blessed me and allowed me to finally walk into the miracles and things that he promised me, he has something for you as well. He has so much for you that you can't even wrap your mind around all that he wants to do for you. So I can hope that he knocks on your heart so much that he tugs and draws you in, that you get to the point where you're just like, let me try him. Let me turn and see who Jesus is all about so I can get to know him for myself. That's an amazing feeling. It's great to hear about God and hear about what he's done in someone else's life and hear about how someone else perceived him. But it's even more amazing when you get to experience him for yourself. It's great to hear about and see someone else, talk about their blessings. But when you can get to the point where you experience him for yourself, you see him for yourself, you feel him for yourself, that's a feeling that you will never forget. Like, I'm home alone right now. Husband's at work, both of the kids at work. I'm here home alone and literally just talking out loud as if Jesus is sitting right next to me on the couch. Like, we'll have those conversations where he embraces me. He shows me how much he loves me. Like, he lets me feel that. He's a good God. He is an amazing God. So I know, and I am prophesying, speaking prophetically, that you will get to know God for yourself. And once you get a taste of him, you won't be able to look back. Then you'll be able to share with someone else what God has done for you as well. Oh my gosh, almost 40 minutes later. I thought I was going to be on here for like 10, 15 minutes. But I hope you guys were encouraged by this word. Tag someone who may be going through. I know how it feels when you get encouraged. You get to that point where it's like, yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard it, but I've yet to see God move like that. I'm just here to tell you everything, every double-minded way that you may be feeling, every fickle feeling way that you may be feeling, every frustrated way, painful way, whatever it is that you may be feeling, I have been there. And I am here to say that God does show up and show out. And when he does, that's when you'll be able to understand why you had to wait as long as you had to wait, because there were some things you had to gather. There were some things you had to experience. There was some weight that you had to put on. There was some strength that he had to reveal to you, and you had to be exposed to certain situations and certain things to be able to endure all of that. There's no looking back now. When I say me and God are unstoppable, get ready, because God has been promising me some help. And I don't want to say too much, but help is on the way. I will speak about this in a very, very near future. Help is on the way. He's so faithful. I'm just amazed. This is not the last time you guys are going to hear about my story, because God not only rewrote my story, he rewrote my entire life. And I will be sharing that with someone else in the very near future. So I am blessed. I'm humbled. I'm honored. Y'all, please keep going. Please be encouraged. Draw closer to God. Believe God. Keep trusting God regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you see. Do not trust your feelings. Just keep looking toward God. Stay focused on God. Don't limit what he can do, but stay focused on God. He won't leave you hanging. Y'all be blessed. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you more than you know. And stay tuned for the next few projects with the S that's going to be coming to pass very, very soon. I can't wait. I'm still in awe about it, but stay tuned. I will see you guys next time around. Y'all have an amazing night. Bye.